Hello and welcome back, everyone, for our halftime show brought to you by Rally Cry, the Rally Cry halftime show. Golden Guardians strike first in game number 1, getting revenge against Fear after their tiebreaker match where Fear actually took that one. And in pretty dominant fashion, I gotta say. We were talking about the Poppy pick in draft, in game, even after game. That's the first thing the two of you were saying is like, I don't know how valuable that was that early in the draft. I like it conceptually when it counters what your opponent's trying to do, but Magical, when you log it in that early, your opponent can kind of draft around it from that point.
Exactly, and that's always the difficult thing with it, right? Especially because we knew what the bot lane was more likely going to be than anything else for Array and Prismal. They've been playing a lot of this Aphelios Thresh, and that's usually when they look the strongest. So the fact that we knew that was on the table, yeah, you can stop the Lantern take sometimes if you're perfectly placed, but it's very situational, and Array got fat enough where he's like, I don't need to take no Lantern. I'm just going to fight you.
Yeah. I think that was the correct answer to that question. And if you're wondering what that sound was,
a question.
It's called a soundboard. Yeah, it wasn't a question.
I can do it too, but I have
still, it was a segue I had to give in for our next segment here because we're going to play a game that requires my soundboard called Recall. So to relive the game number 1 and how Golden Guardians got to that win in greater detail than what Magical gave in that Spark Notes version right there, I was recording moments from the game, and I have the audio from that moment. So we get to hear in-game sounds, and we get to hear all of your lovely voices. Now, the challenge is, do either of you remember what you said and what it was about? So,
the moment the words come out of my mouth, I already forget it.
That's generally how this one goes, but we're going to try it anyway. So, I have my soundboard prepped and ready to go. Are the two of you ready to go while we give the players time to get ready for next game and play our little game here?
I'm not ready, but we can do this anyways.
Yes.
Josh has the buzz down. Magical, have you practiced your buzzing? There we go. It works. Okay. All right, first one.
Rosethorn has no smite. Oh, Buzz.
Oh.
Yeah. This is the first fight around, or it's the fight around the dragon where Rosethorn's hitting the Tibbers and
Buzz.
Yeah. Well, he smites the Tibbers and then jumps over.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Play the clip. Let's take another look at it.
He also had no smite for the Rift Herald.
Ah.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was that one, too. That's why I'm like, oh, wait, no, I think it was the other one.
They didn't have the smite, so they missed the dragon, but the way they position for this fight is so clutch. They just surround everybody, the Talia wall blocking them off. They have nowhere to go. Prismal gets a double kill in classic Prismal fashion on the Thresh, and then that gives the gold lead to Golden Guardians, but the dragon lead to Fear, which made me start wondering, it's like, okay, which do you value more? Are you happy with the objective, or are you happier with the gold lead that you gained from that? Yep, and then we can see how the rest of the games plays out. So, that's a point to Josh already.
Yeah. You almost always want the kills in those situations, right?
Okay.
Unless, if it's the first dragon, you always want the kills. The second dragon, you start to be a little bit more like, okay with it. But the first one, it's just like you're still so far away from your win condition.
You have a lot of room to stack still at that point.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at the next one. Or, there you go, listen, rather, to the next one. Oh, whoops, I had the wrong soundboard up. I had the wrong soundboard up.
Buzz.
No,
is that your soundboard? Not free point.
Number two.
Ray has passed all the way up. Oh, Buzz, that is the Rift Herald fight.
Yeah.
I hate that you got that.
That's the flash in, but it's
that was the hook that misses and hits the rail for Rift Herald. Let's take a look at it then. I'll also give you the satisfaction. There you go. You got it right, Magical. So Prismal misses the hook initially, and I thought with that down, it was going to be really rough for Fear, especially with this hook. Boom! Snipes Array, but there's just no follow-up. Parry's still on the Herald. I feel like if they peel off to Array, maybe those are one of those moments where Fear could have actually won the fight, but Array, despite getting sniped with the hook, repositions, and then that explosive cast from Concept was massive. Absolutely massive. I know, Josh, you were freaking out about it in the moment, and I think that that really is what turned the play, because again, twice in a row, Golden Guardians get the kills, but Fear get the objective. If that explosive cast doesn't happen in that way and they don't get those extra kills from it, then I think that maybe Fear have, more argument as to, oh, it was worth it for us. But that's back-to-back where they're just so funneled on the objective, and Golden Guardians are like, well, that's fine. We're just going to clean you up after.
Now, Jay, I will say that this is a little bit of cheating, but I do also, I just have to say that the explosive cask from Concept there, it looked so much like something that was staged, or something like a champion spotlight, It was just like, they perfectly all went out in different directions.
Yep.
That doesn't happen very often. That was really funny.
Oh, wait, I have a sound effect for that one, too. Wait, one second. There we go. That's what happens there. All right, let's take a look at the third one then. Listen to the third one.
It's the exact same Buzz.
What?
I'm cheating.
How are you cheating?
Because I saw what the clip was.
You saw the clip? Wait, how did we show the clip? What?
Oh, it's
When we had our
because
fourplex.
the preview.
Yeah, this is around the Baron. I imagine it's the second time, or no, it's the. Oh, are they picking Trevor? No, this is the time that they were picking Perry because it's the big fight that happens afterwards.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
All right, run the clip, run the clip. You guys are getting these too quickly. I got to make these harder. So this was after they already got the
for
pick.
his.
Yeah, my bad. I should have closed my eyes. I already look like it.
This was the game-ending play. The game didn't end off of this, but they get so far ahead. They get the Baron.
Yeah.
There's just like no shot for Fear to come back from that moment. And Array, shout-outs to you for playing this fight so well and all the fights so well. This is why we were talking about Array coming into this matchup. Array versus Manui was like, okay, well, who's going to come out ahead here? Manui's been surviving and having these clutch team fights, but Array consistently throughout the split has been performing, and I think he's just ramping up still.
Yeah, he's been a consistent factor. Like I'll keep calling him the unsung hero because everyone likes to talk about Prismal and Young. But Array has been this consistent factor for Golden Guardians, and we got to see the full display of his insane power spikes that he gets when he gets just a little bit of gold.
So let's listen to the last one then. Final recall.
And I can't
voice
cheat.
line.
I didn't see the clip this time.
You can't see it.
Okay. We'll give a love tap. Here's Young.
Give a love tap.
Oh.
Here's Young.
Oh. You need another one? We can go to 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I
might.
think I actually
We'll give a
do.
love tap. Here's Young. Surfing his way into the mid lane.
Oh, he got bounced over.
Oh, it was the Buzz. It was the Vi getting knocked over the wall by the Weaver's wall.
And that is correct. Roll the clip. This was so funny to see. It didn't actually amount to anything, but I'm happy with... Oh, yeah, boom.
I didn't know that it was possible to knock someone over that wall
Neither
with
did
the
I.
Weaver's wall. It was-
And also, I just got to give it to Josh for...
Oh, he got bounced over the wall. Did you see that?
That's the most, like, Shaggy impression I've ever heard you do on accident. Listen to that again. This is pure Shaggy.
Let's listen.
Oh, he got bounced over the wall. Did you see that?
Did you see that?
Did you see that? Yep, that
I
totally
thought you
is.
meant, like,
So
fixings on a
there's two other,
sandwich.
before we get into pick and ban, there's two other.
wait, nice.
Yes,
What?
I win! Woo!
We're getting ready for pick and ban, but I want to play two other funny moments that had nothing to do with the game, but I just liked them.
We're warned.
Okay.
Warned, scoring the enemy. FF.
Shout
before
outs
you
to
have
Magical.
warned, you were warned.
Shoutouts to
Still
what was his
chasing
name?
to stand up. Captain Nation is all I
You
remember.
didn't
Captain
quite
Asian
finish it, but you
02.
tried your best. And then Josh, we got to talk about this.
put that leash on the child and take him for a walk.
I don't know what's going on there, but we're ready for pick
Look,
and
did
ban.
you not
so we're gonna
have
throw
one?
it
You
back
were
over to
homeschooled?
Magical and Josh for game number 2.
Seems like a very Midwestern kind of thing, for sure.
I don't think it's a normal thing. I'll just say that, John. I,
I mean,
don't think it's a normal thing.
you seen those kids with like backpack leashes?
No,
It's a thing.
I haven't. I haven't seen that. But I have seen League of Legends, and that's what we're watching here. It is Game 2, and Cincinnati Fear, who came into this one as the favorites, having won the tiebreaker against Golden Guardians, are now put in a position where their backs are against the wall. One more loss, and they are knocked down into the lower bracket, which I think would surprise a lot of people that we've had such strong provisional teams. Wildcard, Cincinnati Fear, even AoE have had their moments. Yet, if Cincinnati Fear get knocked down, every single provisional team is now in the lower brackets this early into the tournament.
Yeah, we also got a question here for Sidania, who's benched with Trevor in their garage. What is Trevor's max? Throw that in Twitch chat. We'll get back into that as we do see the same kind of bans coming through. But the Gragas is being taken away as well here from Golden Guardians, which is not surprising. Gragas has been one of these strong characters up in the top side. And interestingly enough, we haven't seen a whole lot of focus on the Cho'Gath so far. It has been only been one game, but it seems like something that Concept would absolutely love playing in these kind of situations. Whereas Faisal, I mean, it's not a bruiser, at least in the same situation. So I feel like Faisal would probably try and avoid it.
As Wukong, the last ban, I'm more surprised that Sejuani is what they grab here. They did ban that when they were on the red side, but Xayah is the one that really stuck out to me as what they banned previously. And now Array Prismal are going to have the Lovers duo because I'm imagining they want Prismal on that since he's looked so good on those engages.
Yeah, I mean, I'm less surprised at the Sejuani, just because it is like the only other champion that Perry has real numbers of games on, right? He's played Wukong, Sejuani, and then like bits of Vi and some Maokai, but nothing else outside of the Wukong and the Sejuani has been super successful for Perry so far during the split, even at the cost of giving it over. It's absolutely something Rosethorn could have taken away, and now Array, he's got something that's a little bit stronger defensively, but he also showed last game that he's growing as a more aggressive AD carry, just waltzing into the enemy team last game.
And then Manui Trevor taking away the bot lane that had been played against them previously. Something we really haven't seen out of Manui or Trevor. We've seen the Thresh out of Trevor, but not really the Cephalios from him too much the split. So the fact they're going for that in a do or die scenario and then leave open Vi to be taken by Rosethorn that he did pilot very successfully in that last game. This is looking like a very difficult composition for Cincinnati Fear to pilot against Golden Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, at least it is, again, another front-to-back style of composition from Fear. Now they need to round it out, and I'm looking for Shochi to play something with a little bit more consistent damage to it, right? We saw the Annie come through last game, which does give you, that burst of AP magic damage. And if you can get it onto Array, it's great, but Array has also proved, just like Manui, that they are a master at getting out of a ton of these dangerous situations. And interestingly enough, as we see the Tryndamere getting banned as well, it feels as though they're saying, Faisal, we're not going to give you anything fun to play with this game. You're going to have to play one of these more boring, straightforward top laners.
To me, that kind of indicates they don't expect that the Sejuani is inherently for parry either. That you want to have a little bit more magic damage to pair up with Tryndamere if you're going to put that in mid lane. I'm looking at whether or not that is going to be parry piloting that Sejuani, or if it's going to be Faisal if they want to kind of turn, which it would not be normal. We haven't really seen that out of Faisal nor out of Perry, but it is something that is an option.
Yeah, it is always going to be an option, right? Faisal has been one of the biggest carries for Fear throughout their time so far. It's part of why the Olaf has been one of the biggest picks here for Faisal. And it's just because he just runs over people oftentimes in a side lane, gets incredibly strong, and allows Fear to play this very classic dive into the enemy style. But Young, going with something a little bit different here, is going to be playing the LeBlanc, putting a lot of pressure on Manui, who is also a master at defensive play.
Especially when you have Aphelios, as long as you can stay relatively even, then have Thresh on top of you, it does get difficult for LeBlanc to pilot into you, because they're not necessarily going to have every option to assassinate the backline. And I'm looking at then how you can utilize this double flanking that you have from Rosethorn and from Young. Well, it looks like they just grab onto Malzahar and then a Renekton.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cool counter pick going into Young. It's not the easiest thing in the world to play, and it's definitely not popular either. So Malzahar coming through is going to have a big opportunity to shut down a lot of these members, but that's a lot of crowd control coming up from the side. Whoa, coming up from the side of Fear, and the Malphite going to be the response coming out from Concept. A little bit surprising. This isn't the best matchup into their Renekton, but can be a huge problem into the other side of the map. And so Golden Guardians have absolutely said, hey, we are going to jump in. We are going to blow these people up almost instantly with all of our knockups, and they will not have ways to get out of the fight, whereas Fear, they need to take these fights a little bit slower. They will really win the longer that these engagements go.
And that's why I like what Golden Guardians have drafted. They're not in a position with these champions to just let that happen. You can't let that happen. You are all about your initial engage, finding Manui, finding even Shochi really quickly before they can do anything to get away.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that while Malzahar is really good later on in the game, especially around one item, and becomes this really big problem to deal with the longer the game goes, it is the kind of thing where the laning phase is really hard for Shochi to play out, right? And we saw how much pressure they were trying to put on Young in game one around the 6:30 and around the 8-minute mark. You can't really do that as Malzahar, right? Especially around the first one, you're not going to have level 6 yet.
No. And here we go. Got your back. I feel like
thank you.
His scoring was biased.
Thank you, Rally Cry.
No, Rally Cry. You got to have my back. He cheated. He cheated.
I didn't cheat. I was using what was given to me.
He cheated. I had the same opportunity, and I didn't do that.
No, that's just because you weren't playing to win.
I mean, clearly I won, so I was. All right.
Well, here we go.
Speaking of playing to win, bit of an invade. Bit of spot out. Trevor play used early. Jumping on top of him with Ignite as well. First blood will be picked up by Golden Guardians and gifted over to Ray. If he wasn't strong last game, he's going to be strong again this game, even stronger right out of the gate.
Oh no, that is disaster coming through. At least Trevor holds on to the flash, but it's a disaster coming through for Fear right off the bat. They were trying to find a play onto Concept. You even saw Trevor walking into the Baron pit to see if they could catch somebody walking around, right? This is the classic thing you do in order to try and get that free hook from Trevor. But this time around, Golden Guardians, they read the play beautifully. They come through. They recognize that Trevor is right over this wall. And oh my gosh, they just catch him out immediately. And even with all of the members coming through to try and body block for him, it's just not enough. Not enough movement speed off the bat. Just dies instantly.
Dies instantly. Gold over to Array, so he shows up with an extra long sword. Of course, you know, that earlier first blood.
And an extra pot.
Right. I mean, he's got a lot going for him. But I was going to say, first blood that early isn't going to be the make or break for things. Definitely is going to help out, make this lane phase a little bit easier for Array. But it's how you continue to apply that pressure, especially up against Manui and Trevor on this Aphelios Thresh.
Yeah. We'll see what else they can start to do, because it is worth noting that there is a very strong bottom lane pressure that comes out from this duo lane, but it really relies on Ignite to have that early kill pressure, which they did expend in order to get that first kill. But look at this, Rosestar, we were talking about his early game pathing. Faisal.
Looking for Faisal. Faisal, he thought about re-engaging on a concept, and he perfectly flashed away from Rosestar. But, okay, Rosestar, that was a bit greedy. He took 2 tower shots, and that could have actually been turned around pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, good read from Rosestar at least to try and follow with the flash. Just not going to have enough damage in order to get that one down, but still makes Concept's life just that much easier. And Concept is definitely already in a spot. Already has the early cloth armor, has the potions to out-sustain Renekton for a little while, just based on the items that they have built. And Perry not in a position to try and go for any invade to deny Rosestar in his camps.
It still is only an even trade. Flash out of Faisal, flash out of Rosethorn. Faisal will get those minions crashing down towards his turret. He'll feel pretty comfortable, even though Concept now, with all those spots you talked about, how he's healed up a lot, just gonna go proxy farm. He's like, yeah, you can't do anything to me for a little bit.
Yeah, and notice the fact that Concept, he just now on level 4 put a point into Q, a very unusual way of playing the Malphite, because he's just here to brawl, walk up on Renekton every single time, and beat him up with your fists. The Golden Guardians, I mean...
But also works because Renekton has to fight into you.
True. Oh.
Okay.
Perry. Has Shochi coming.
Has a bit of a skirmish here. It was Rosethorn who secured his own blue buff. They're
Everybody's coming.
Around, and Perry's in danger. He flashed away as Prismal and Array on the other side of the lantern to try to save him. But one orb of malice out of Young gets his own kill.
That was so many flashes expended by Golden Guards, but they get the kill they came for. Another kill goes over to Fear. This one goes over to Young, and now he has the red buff. He can even stay in lane, Alex. It just feels as though everything is going over towards Golden Guardians right now. It was a great play. They try and find a Rosethorn, but the hook goes wide. Every little thing seems to be going wrong.
Everything is going wrong for Fear, but for Golden Guardians, it is all sunshine and rainbows with how they found these plays. The 2 plays, too, have been off the back of Fear initially looking for plays, but Golden Guardians reading that well. The reactivity this team has had against Fear has been perfect.
Yeah. And honestly, just there, I love the fact that Rosethorn comes down and backs in that Tribe Rush. He's just standing there menacingly, making sure that Fear cannot walk up. They lose only a couple minions for it, but every little edge matters when it doesn't cost you anything either. And so, again, we got to look once again to see if Fear are going to try and go for their typical play. Sometime between 5:30 and 6:30, they will try and gank the mid lane, and then they will go towards the Dragon. Shochi is getting close to level 6, and Young has no flash. But Perry, I wonder how shut down he feels just based on these early plays.
That's right. Now Faisal, oh man, he is having a hard time in this matchup. You said it's not necessarily the most Malphite favorite, but once you get that Thornmail, that Renekton does nothing.
I mean, more than the Thornmail is even just the fact that Faisal was not allowed to bully Concept in the first couple of levels because of Rosethorn coming up, and that was one of the big differences in this matchup. Now Concept can. The only thing he's going to be like kind of struggling with is the fact that he doesn't have any mana early on, and he's going to be very reliant on these biscuits to participate. But as we were praising Fear for all of their Dragon 1 plays historically, it is actually Golden Guardians who are here first. No gank comes out from Fear, and with their game plan interrupted, I don't know if they're going to have what it takes to bounce back. I really actually was hoping we were going to get a game 3 in this one because I feel like these two teams can be so close going up against each other.
Golden Guardians did their homework. They came in today prepared and ready to rumble against Fear. So few teams have had a good read on Cincinnati Fear this entire season. But here, Golden Guardians learned their lessons from the tiebreaker game. They've gotten better matchups in each one of their lanes. They've banned away a lot of the comfort that Fear have had throughout this entire split.
Yeah, I mean, Fear no longer in the same point of power, no longer playing the same kind of style that they've had so much success with, does put Golden Guardians in another spot. And this is some of the questions that we were having about these provisional teams with these strong styles, right? Both Fear and Wildcard, when you give teams time to prepare for what they do, when you allow the analysts to spend all that extra time to try and build up game plan, it becomes so much more difficult for them to have these strong moments. And we're seeing exactly that come through. We even heard in the other stream, if you were watching Path to LCS, CLG Faith took a game off of Wildcard, which is itself kind of a miracle. That's their second win the entire spring split.
Unfortunately, though, they did eventually fall in the best of 3. But still well played over to CLG Faith, at least ending the season with one more victory under their belt. And then, bringing back the conversation here to Cincinnati Fear. This game isn't over. It's not easy from this point, especially because you look at mid lane. Shochi has been struggling against Young, who's gotten the kill and assist. Having that red buff for a long time, you have a lot of power over Shochi, but as Malzahar, you have one important role. And you know what that is, Josh?
What?
That is you ult either LeBlanc or Xayah.
Oh.
That is what you want to do, is you ult one of those two. There's a little bit of a love tap there, but as Shochi, your job is to find on how well you can jump on and get the pick onto those incredibly important targets, like here, Concept, using the ult to get away because Faisal had a lot of reinforcements.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of bullying coming through, the good skill max compared from Concept to get all the extra armor off that W. I mean, and saving the ultimate, knowing he couldn't one-shot Faisal, but now...
This is risky. That was Dominance pop early, and with the nice play, they've got to get into the backline. Moonlight Vigil did not connect onto anybody. Instead, it's going to be Manui kiting back the best he can. He's putting on his array performance here, doing his damnedest with the damage to get everyone out from Golden Guardians and getting the eye.
Wow, that's a big turnaround coming through for Fear. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but getting the kill onto Array and getting the Rift Herald. That's extra money going over in favor of Fear as we go way back. Hello.
Is this back to the future?
Back to the future.
Okay.
It's back to us.
Back to us.
Back to the present.
Well, isn't that kind of the whole thing with Back to the Future? Is like they got to get back to the future, which is actually present time. Well, for them.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I have seen that movie. All I know is there's weird things about whether or not he's in love with his mom.
He's not. It's whether the mom's in love with him.
Oh, all right. Fair.
Yeah.
Still a weird Oedipal thing going on there for sure. But Golden Guardians, it's still Array with 2 kills here. And the kill going over to Shochi, this Malzahar will get that little bit of extra damage. And Malzahar is going to be crucial to actually trying to take down players like Concept and Rosethorn because he forces a more divisive itemization coming through from them. You won't be able to just ignore the mid laner because he does damage over time.
Plus, you always have to pay the Malzahar tax if you are an Array or a Rosethorn with the AD damage sources. Whoa, what a hook on a Prismal. And wait, the kill too? Did the tower have target?
Yeah, the tower shot got onto him. That's really big coming through. That's what we were saying, right? Prismal either looks like a genius or sometimes that happens. Fear punish him big. Kill goes over to Trevor this time around. That will allow Fear to control what they want to do with this wave and also have more control over how they want to play this upcoming dragon. Fear have been so good with most of the dragons. This is one of the first times we've seen them drop their first one. Look at this. Wah. Whack him.
Yeah.
Wah.
Concept does a bit of damage there, especially with all the armor that he's built up. Faisal just doesn't have a hope. That's why he's built the call, because it's like, yeah, I just gotta farm up. I'm not fighting you anymore.
Yeah, it is. It's very sad at this point for Faisal. We'll see what kind of effects they can have later on in the game. Renekton from behind. Against LeBlanc and Zaya is pretty tough to play, right? It is a very tough spot here for Faisal to be relevant. But as we look once again at the rest of the map, it is going to be the rest of Fear who are setting up vision before Golden Guardians can get around.
Faisal clearing out the minions the best he can. Trying to keep up with Concept. All these Fear members mid lane, they're pulling the trigger onto Shochi. And he's got a lot of friends, and with the Nether Gaze and with the Flame back, just waiting it out, they can pick up the coil onto Rosethorn. And Trevor, he's putting on his own Prismal cosplay this game, like how Manui's doing Array, because he got 2 kills for Thresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much like what they were going to try and do around the first dragon. It's just around the second dragon this time around. They go for the gank mid lane. They wait for Rosethorn to overextend. And Shochi, once again, showing the value of the Nether Grasp, locking down a single member until they are dead. And Fear, they have the damage to do it. There's no response coming out from Golden Guardians. And the gold lead, once again, going over to the Cincinnati boys.
Not much they could do there. The Golden Guardians having lost Rosethorn from the play, Dragon was forfeited, and here it is Fear getting back onto the path. This is why I said, you know, those early kills, you don't get that much gold from them. They're not as impactful. And now, Faisal might die solo, flash away, but you get chased down. Concept understood the assignment there in top lane.
Yeah, just punch him over the back of the head as he tries to run. This matchup is firmly in Malphite's favor for basically the rest of the game. Rosethorn now coming down as they're going to be looking for a dive. Instead, Hex gates back towards his own side of the map. But much more competitive so far in this one. Fear have adapted quite well off of the early plays. And it feels as though Fear are very aware of how to play around this Malzahar ultimate. They are so focused on making sure that they fight when it's actually up and trying to deny plays when it's down.
Getting more plates over to Malzahar as well. Good calls from Cincinnati Fear. Bot lane, Manui's got himself the Bloodthirster. It's a harder lane to crack too against Ray and Prismal since we, like you called out, we saw that Rosethorn was in that bot lane. Even if he hex gated out of there, there was enough threat where they're like, probably not a good idea to look for this play just yet into the bot lane. We don't want to risk anything happening and getting more gold over to Ray since Ray has completed that Gale Force.
Yeah. See what they can do with Array, right? We cannot discount what they did in Game 1, but Nui also the player that we were looking at, right? And I think it's been both Perry and Faisal have said in different interviews, you have to pay attention to what Manui is doing. He keeps himself alive so effectively in so many of these fights. He's instrumental to the damage, and he positions really, really well. And so, I mean, the attack going on to him is still going to be the win conditions here for Golden Guardians, right? You have the Malphite ultimate, you have the LeBlanc, you have the Vi ultimate, you have Prismal all jumping on top of them, and there's only really the Lantern to try and keep him out.
Prismal threatening Manui, but Manui very wise to that play. He noticed that no one was showing mid lane. He expected 4 members to be pathing down to the bot lane, so he backed out of that one, and rightfully so, he is justified in his conclusion because he saw Prismal on that ward that was placed down with Tri-Bush.
Yeah. Everybody going to be backing away as Prismal once again is kind of trying to back on the vision, but will get themselves far enough away. And ooh, that's a -1 right there in chat. But either way.
Wait, what's the -1 mean? I actually never understood this.
Oh, it's when you miss cannons.
Oh, that's it?
Usually cannons, yeah.
Oh.
Sometimes people do it for CS, but it's supposed to be done for cannons.
Oh, that's a lot lamer than I thought it was.
Yeah, what did you think it was?
I don't know. I was hoping it was like a missed hook or something. You know, something that was actually more interesting.
Nah, Twitch chat's usually not that imaginative unless they have good copy possibly.
I was just saying, Tap Nation, you got some good copy bosses right there.
That's pretty good. I did see some fear ones as well, but now we're starting to set up for the next sequence of objectives as Perry gets jumped on.
And that is a lot poured down onto Perry just to kill off Sejuani. It is successful, and like you said, with Rift Herald up, Golden Guardians are pathing ground, but they've used 2 critical ults. The Concept one, Unstoppable Force is gone, and Cease and Desist is out for Rosethorn, but it is still 3 members and 3 alone. Where's Cincinnati Fear? Because look at where Faisal is. He's a bit too far. The spell shield has been popped out of Shochi. They're waiting out the best they can. 5 seconds until his Perry spawns back in, but it will take him a long time. And Young, he is ready to jump onto the spag line. He is tagging them the best he can. Moonlight Vigil connects, gets a lot of damage onto Ray and Principal. It is secured by Rosethorn out of there. With the damage onto Concept, he flashes. Wait, Manui got the kill on a Rosethorn on the other side? I didn't even see that happen. Now Perry with the Hex Gates in, and how low Concept is. No ult. No flash, no way out. The Rock himself caught between a rock and a hard place, and Manui Faisal combo will take him down.
That's a huge play coming through from Fear, but now Golden Guardians, they're going to try and make something happen with Shochi. He has no ultimate.
Doesn't, but he had the spell shield. He was able to dodge away from a lot. That's going to be the flay. Prismal, they look for Shochi. They've got the chains connected. Damage in from the minions, helping out a lot, but now the TP, look how low Golden Guardians are. Trevor himself flashing forward, getting Prismal to dive away, cutting back the best they can, but Faisal gets a lot of damage. They don't get the slow they need to on the Glacial Prison, and they get the chains connected onto Faisal with the Dominance Pop as well. These low health members of Golden Guardians will survive.
They will survive, but what are they going to do with the Dragon coming up? Fear are the ones left with people still on the map, but they're not interested in that. They're going to be going right on for the mid lane, and this game is suddenly super fluid. Golden Guardians' willingness to scrap hurting them in terms of where they can actually be on the map over and over, but they trade a turret down here on the bottom lane, Alex. It is just back and forth and back and forth, and with everybody backing away, looks like we're going to be setting up for another fight around this upcoming Dragon.
Fight, 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 fight. I like this kind of play style from both teams. It is do or die for Cincinnati Fear, but this is a team that has thrived in these fights. This entire year, you can pull up any game of theirs, and they're looking for these scrappy fights at these critical moments.
Yeah, and Golden Guardians now, they are going to be here first. Fear are going to just let that one go. They should be confident in their ability to play fights later on in the game. Malzahar will be doing so much damage at that point. But giving this one over, what will they be getting back? Just a little bit of farm. And in fact, they don't even take away any jungle camps or anything. Just making sure that they don't give over a fight while Golden Guardians are at some of their strongest points. The big worry that I will have is the play between Young and Shochi in this game, Alex, because Young loves hopping over from over a wall. Wait, Young also picked up the Rift Herald. He went back?
Oh, he got it initially before diving over.
Oh, okay.
So Rosethorn had to get out of there, and Young was on top of it before he dashed out, was able to pick it up.
Gotcha. I just saw a crazy melee. I didn't even realize that Young could have done that. I guess he did jump in at some... Regardless. Either way, he has it now. I thought it was a Lich Bane, and I was like, why does he have a Lich Bane already?
I mean, I miss those days where Lich Bane was on every single AP champion.
Oh, yeah.
Even LeBlanc.
Still... Yeah, because he would just do so much extra damage. For now, Golden Guardians, they are shifting towards the top side of the map. Remember, the last time they were hitting the Baron in Game 1 was to draw people out, and now they know that Shochi is far enough back that the threat to the turret can be really undone just by trying to take everything from this top side. As they drop the Rift Herald, they're going to be having to look for 2 crashes off of this. Maybe even take this entire turret before Shelly gets the first charge off. They will get it.
Not losing too much on Shelly either. Faisal hanging around. It's going to be spotted out. That's a TP from Shochi. It's going to have to crash regardless. So that's a lot of damage onto the structure. It won't be toppled, though. It will stand, so not that extra bit of gold picked up by Golden Guardians. Instead, that'll be a secret tool that they can use later.
The 2 waves dropped, one in the mid lane, one in the bottom lane. That's a fair amount of gold that is going to be missing in the Golden Guardians coffers in order to make sure that that crash actually happens. As we take a look at the gold still, it is Young, the most fed player on the entire map, but he's not that far ahead of where Shochi and Manui actually are.
Only
so far, again, yeah, I feel as though Shochi has been doing a pretty darn good job on this Malzahar. It's not something that a lot of teams practice with or around, and he's constantly sitting in a spot where he's not, you know, messing himself up by walking too far forward and getting himself caught in all the melees. He's also not standing too far back where he's ineffective. He's really been very good at picking out the crucial targets in these fights.
The nice thing about having Malzahar, especially against Xayah, is you can't Featherstorm the ult once it connects onto you. You're locked into position unless you pick up the QSS, but still it hasn't been paid. The tax has not been paid. IRS is going to start calling you soon, Ray.
Yeah, tax day's coming up soon for all the Americans out there. But so far, I mean, you can't really do it until like your third item, which is the biggest reason why Malzahar tends to not be as exciting later in the game, is just because that's when people start paying those taxes.
See, Young's
and there's
paid
enough
his taxes.
ways.
Young has paid his taxes.
Young has?
Yes.
All right. Good job trying to get ahead of it. But the other thing is that there's enough crowd control on the side of Golden Guardians that if you feel confident in your team's ability to interrupt the Malzahar ultimate, then you aren't as worried about it a lot of the time. So Golden Guardians are kind of trying to take a bit of a risky approach here just because of how some of the earlier fights have gone. And that feels like a little bit more of the Young style, more of the Array style of trying to take these games a little bit slower, whereas a lot of Prismal and Rosethorn are trying to push the pace.
At the moment, the game has slowed down. So playing more into Array and Young, slowing the tempo of this game. As Fear are very confident with that as well. They're getting these items completed. Rallies there for Shochi, as you called out, but also look at the itemization for Minui. That Infinity Edge completed. And we talked before about the power that Aphelios has when Array was playing it last game. That it's so difficult to actually assassinate once he gets the Bloodthirster and Infinity Edge combo. You have to use everything like this in order to burst him down before you can use any damage. It was perfect from Golden Guardians to pull the trigger like that, but now they got to deal with getting out from underneath the turret. Concept taking up the tower for so long, he will fall. They do trade back onto the Croc, but now the Flay,
Trevor,
Rosethorn, Trevor continues to fight underneath, but they do lose more again, and Trevor finally falls with Shochi getting the damage onto Prism. And cutting back again, and what a wild fight, 4 for 5!
Quadra kill goes over to Array, though. Everybody just like in one spot underneath the turret. Trevor does a huge job of keeping everybody there. And now, I mean, Young, he gets the mid lane turret, but so much gold traded back and forth, opening up the mid lane. Golden Guardians, well, that was wild. I don't know if they'll do it again. They can't be too dissatisfied with the result, but Young, where's he going? He got a dragon to play around in 10 seconds, bud.
I feel like he's just lost on the map after that play. He's utterly confused. Let's take a look at this replay. Good luck dissecting this, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is I actually want to praise Array and Trevor on opposite sides of the fight, because Trevor, even though Minui just instantly dies, Trevor does a fantastic job of keeping whoever is tanking the turret underneath so that they continue to tank, right? Concept is currently holding aggro, and he's held underneath the structure. And after that, immediately, it's on Rosethorn, keeps him underneath the turret the entire time, gets 3 hooks straight, and I think he tries to go for another one, but no, he ends up going down. But after that, it's just a matter of how much damage comes through the Malefic Visions instantly transfer, and a Baron buff being fought over.
Yeah, already 50%. And look at where Array and Rosethorn are. They aren't nearby, but fear what could have happened. So they decide to back off of that one, not continuing to play.
Yeah. Didn't see the setup for that. Well, Prismal, you're by yourself, friend. Yeah, pushing them away, making sure they can't run in. That's the inside track for Golden Guardians. They're going to be doing a lot of damage to the second tier mid lane turret, maybe even taking the whole thing down, which they do. More money going over to Golden Guardians. They get the dragon as well. And it feels like we are starting to move back into the comfort zone of Golden Guardians. Array 6-2-4. Not the 13-0-5 you had last game, but can't complain when you are still this strong. And that means that they will be able to go for the QSS relatively soon if they even feel like they need it.
All right, a quadra kill from a chaotic fight underneath the turret does definitely help out with your Xayah getting that gold you need. But as you talked about, kind of looking at how these next fights are going to go, because Ray could opt for the QSS, but also doesn't necessarily have to. With how much frontline there is for Golden Guardians to create space for Array, did a good job last time of staying far away, except for the fact that everyone decided they wanted to dive under the turret. That was the only thing that kind of got a little bit dicey.
Yeah. it is one of those things where it does feel very Golden Guardians, right? Not every team would just like go for that fight and just continue to go for it underneath the turret, but Golden Guardians just love fighting, and that's a perfect example of that. And so now we start to see Fear looking for opportunities there. Renekton is in a spot where it's a little bit struggling, and of course, I mean, we see Shochi going for the Void Staff. This is usually an indication that Fear don't think this game is going to go super long, right? Whenever you go for the Void Staff and there's not infinite magic resist on the other side, you oftentimes will do it because the Rabadons will do more damage in most situations, but it's a more expensive item. And so Fear really need to be ready to fight around the upcoming dragon.
Rizal looked to interrupt the Lantern take. So close, but no cigar. And now he's put himself in a bit of a position where he could have been engaged on. But too many members of Golden Guardians are here to defend as Fear in a tight corridor, and Manui's got to be so cautious because Concept could turn around the fight at any moment. As they get the pull back in, they look for the triple knockup, but Manui's still untouched. The quickness is going to deny him. They look for the damage in the backline, as Faisal going to be the first one to fall, but Manui's still untouched, safe in the fight. Burning gets the kill on a Concept, looking for a Ray, even with the Feather Call. Wasn't enough to actually get enough damage onto Manui. The rest of Golden Guardians pathing away, couldn't connect the Q out of Aphelios as Prismal.
Young.
Wait a minute, Young finds Trevor.
At the very end, it ends up being a victory coming out for Golden Guardians, finding that extra member. But wow, what an awful spot for Golden Guardians to be fighting. They were sitting in all of the AoE coming through from all of Fear, and there's not that same kind of AoE on Golden Guardians to punish Fear in all these team fights. So there's a little bit of gold traded back and forth, but crucially, Array finds another kill. 7, 2, and 5 is getting so much damage, is so difficult for the rest of the team to deal with. Here, I mean, Shochi will have the ultimate ready, but it gives Golden Guardians time to set up around the Baron.
As Perry finds Young, tagging him for the moment, the TP from Concept, with members having tried to reset for Fear. You have Hex Gates, so you can get back here quickly, but it's 50% on the Baron, and Golden Guardians are committing. They're staying true to the assignment. They've got it as Young still alive. Prismal in the back line. They're looking for Manui. They've got him locked down, bounced around. They still pumping out.
Oh, they got Array.
They got him. They got the trade onto Array. Shut down. Shochi now trying to survive, getting away, flashing away from Rosethorn. This has gone from Manui to Shochi being the hero, and they're doing justice for him.
Oh my gosh, Shochi hanging on to the ultimate till he can get on top of Array. That cleanse won't do you anything. The Feather Storm won't do you anything. But now, Alex, we have another situation where it's Fear who's going to be on the map a little bit faster. But will it even matter with the upcoming, with the Baron that has already been picked up and the Dragon spawning after that? But here, again, it's so much about these 280 carries. Manui gets jumped on ultimate after ultimate after ultimate. And Array, so confident, loses sight of where Shochi is, ends up walking directly into the ult, and then there is no damage left for Golden Guardians trying to take down Fear. They just have to retreat.
Keep in mind, the two members who died for Golden Guardians were the two with bounties on their head. That is a lot of gold shifted back over to Cincinnati Fear that keeps this game within 1,000.
The gold relatively even. Golden Guardians are also here first. That they have Prismal. Great positioning here to try and cut out the members of Fear. They can't really walk in, and Golden Guardians, the one thing they have to be careful of is the fact that Faisal, currently on the other side, can force the front line into a very awkward situation. It's why Golden Guardians are giving up a lot of ground.
I like what Young is doing, though. He is hanging around. All he is looking for is Manui to assassinate the carry, the big important factor. Shochi did a great job in the last game, but you still got to put so much praise onto Manui and give him the respect he is due. Because if you do not kill him, this Aphelios will rip apart your team.
Yeah, and Concept hanging out with Faisal there in the mid lane. This looks like it could be a Fear Dragon. Here comes Roaster for the steal.
It's not going to be stolen, though. Instead, it's going to be the re-engage. They look for Manui, but now Shochi, he's tagged Young, who dies over the wall. Array got his own, and they get the jump on Manui. He tries to survive. He trades one back with him, but Array is too huge to stop.
Another triple kill coming up for Array. No ultimates left to try and deal with him. Faisal never participates in the fight at all. 10, 3, and 6 for the Golden Guardians AD carry. And Fear, but they hold the Dragon. They prevent the Soul from going over. They drag out the game, so they have another chance But so much pressure going on here, right? As everybody starts walking in, the QSS from Young pays off, and as all the charms come through, as the ultimate comes through from Concept as well, catching onto only one member, but it's the one member that they need to hit. Array walks away with 3 more kills yet again because the team has so many threats, so much redundant crowd control. And now he's got a QSS.
Oh, there it is. Got that Mercurial Scimitar in his inventory. No longer in danger for Shochi. This goes back, it's the tale as old as time. When you have League of Legends late game, the ADCs, the 2 heroes for the team. Manui has done so much to try to create distance, to stay safe. But we see how much is poured on top of him from Golden Guardian Challengers, while Array in most of these fights, the only factor he's ever had to deal with is Shochi, and no longer is that a true threat.
And to their credit, Fear have done a fantastic job hiding back so much, trying to keep Manui and Shochi alive, but the dive is just that scary coming through from Golden Guardians, and now Shochi, I mean, constantly staying behind Perry, staying attached to him at the hip. The Golden Guardians, as they push up, they're starting to get towards those level 16s, those level 18s. Getting so many items under their belt. With no Baron, the push is so much more difficult. You just got to deny a little bit of gold and hope that you can take the upcoming fight. Malzahar is no longer a massive threat to the backlines as long as they're good with their QSSs, but he is starting to get to the point where he can just rip apart the front lines.
Young gets a little bit of damage onto Trevor. Not exactly the target you want to be focusing on, but at least it's some chip damage. Constantly weaving back in, getting rid of the spell shield out of Shochi as well. They can continue to harass Fear underneath the turret. 4 members, making it so difficult for Fear to defend what remains outside of their base. In fact, they're falling back because mid lane is under siege.
There's also a wave building up top lane. See the things coming out from Fear. And Golden Guardians, I mean, we already talked about it. They went 1-1 in week 1 in this matchup, and they also lost the tiebreaker in what was another very violent game. This is continuing that trend of a lot of violence between these 2 squads. But as the team rockets back to base, they will take the Hex Gauge. They will go right on over towards this Baron buff, and this could be the last fight of the game and potentially the last fight of the series if Golden Guardians are able to take this one down. They are already here first, and Perry not able to stop the back from Concept.
This might just a little too late to stop that back. Could have been a point to look for, but it's still difficult to cut through that rock, especially with all the members of Golden Guardians quickly getting back onto the map with the help of the Hextech gates. They're already looking to set up around Baron. 20 seconds until then. The sophomores of Golden Guardian Challengers. So much pressure in this series up against the rookies of Cincinnati Fear. Such a difficult point to be in when you're rookies, players that have done such a good job during the regular season, and with all this pressure to remain in the upper bracket, be the only provisional team to do so. See if they falter at the finish line.
Yeah, Prismal is in a little bit of trouble, needs some help.
Okay, he has his own QSS, so he's able to get out of there, takes a lot of damage, and Baron was secure the whole time. So he re-engages, looking for Perry and Faisal, but he's back with the rest of the team. Baron secured by Golden Guardians without so much as a fight.
Yeah, and Prismal trying to get that back off. Will have the Baron recall to be back on the map in time for this Hextech Soul, but Golden Guardians already get the big prize. Now they have to play for one more fight. This is going to be Fear's last real opportunity. They need to get a team fight win here, because the Hextech Soul plus the Baron should be too much. And Golden Guardians, as they come around, they do get some big cooldowns out of Prismal. No Flash, no QSS, no Shirelias. He does have the stopwatch as well, and look at this. Golden Guardians are like, yeah, I mean, if you really want that soul, you can have it. Your base.
Young's bot lane. They could look for this. Faisal is pathing towards them. That's not going to be the hook connecting, but they could try to re-engage. If they can get on top of Array, that turns around the fight, but Faisal has tagged Young on the other side, while the play on it to the big, beefy front line, and the pull getting the cleanse out of Array. Looking for the re-engage on a Manui, but Manui's safe this time around, and they can get the kill, but the triple knockup out of
done.
Manui still pumping out damage, and they get the hook to land.
They got Array.
There goes Zaya! No longer is there threat from the Golden Guardians. They have been quashed by Fear.
A great play coming through from Fear. They get a 4-for-0 fight. They're barreling up the middle of the map, and 40 seconds left before most members of the Golden Guardians. This should be the game, Alex.
This is what we're asking for, Josh. Do the rookies step up? Do or die. All the pressure in the world put onto their shoulders, and they do. 4 kills, none traded. Inhibitor taken mid lane. They can continue with the long death timers. Prismo might be up, and Young has to dash away. But look at how these towers melt to Manui as Shochi gets Young to go back to the base, and we got a series, baby!
Game 3 coming through. I got to give a huge shout out as well to Trevor in the final moments, actually landing the follow-up hook onto Xayah after the cleanse had been used, after the QSS. There's no more cleanses left available. They find their way onto Array, and that was the big thing. That was always the question. Can you get on top of the AD carry? And the oldest rookie in the entire league finds it at the very end.
Trevor has performed so well. This is why so many of you guys put him on your most valuable rookies all team. This guy has been so good with how he has played this split. I understand the praise, but for now we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, we'll bring back Kangas for a Rally Cry halftime show, third time show. Happy Josh, I said it. We'll see you in a bit.